Welcome to the first episode of Cornnhusker Counseling, brought to you by the No Block No Rock podcast. Very first episode. We will see how this goes. We don't know the format or anything, but we are just going to roll with it. Yep. As Tom Cruise said, go out, roll with it.
That must be like a 40 plus film.
2004. And you had
Was that your senior
as an emotionally attached Husker fan, you've just lived through either a triumphant Husker victory or a traumatic Husker loss. For the second week in a row, we've had Husker fans all around cancel their quick one.
Yep.
And they said, I'm good.
All good.
I don't need to talk to you about anything. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm feeling really good. Nebraska 28, Colorado 10. I'll just start this off. You two right here.
Yeah.
Todd Byers, Connor Campbell.
Hey,
Feed us our pro.
give us our road.
Give me the pro.
Once this side of the table was correct.
That never happened. I'm so glad you guys were correct.
Yeah.
I plan on doing a whole lot.
Yeah.
Just because that's my voice is completely gone. I was in the stadium last night. Gary told me to get louder, and I think that is the next level when my voice is completely done. I can't hear you. Like,
He immediately blamed you.
yeah, that was Jim's fault.
Like this gravel in his throat right now. I don't know. Dude, I don't know. I don't want him talking.
There's like 5 vocal cords still in row 72, section 41 in North Tennessee. So I gotta go get those. I gotta get those back next week. I did
What's wrong with the audio?
Who knows?
Yeah, okay. So you two had expressed your positivity going into the game. I think a big thing, Kyle, and I don't want to speak for you, I'll just kind of maybe lead you to water here.
Sure.
The difference in cultures between the two programs. And I'll let you get into that.
Yeah.
Speak for you.
Yeah. So last night I tweeted out something like there's 2 head coaches in Memorial Stadium tonight that are total polar opposites in how they build a football program. And I said, can you tell one walked into their inherited team and called them like old furniture? Like Dion walked into Colorado and he basically said like, hey, I've already got a bunch of positions filled up. So I'm bringing my Louis bags. I'm bringing my stars. And the rest of you got to figure it out. Okay.
Yep.
And then Matt Rule walks into Nebraska and then his inherited football program and says, hey, we have enough here to win. Let's get to work. You're mine. And last night was the showcase of how those 2 polar opposites have built
Fruit. I think we could really see that's how Colorado kind of played.
Yeah.
Is you could just kind of see the unraveling
Happen in real time. Me and Mike and I were skeptics going into this game. I myself had said I don't think they're ready to meet the moment yet. There's a lot of hype. We have seen Nebraska teams go into hyped games and lay an egg. And I just kind of, despite the Dylan Raiola factor, despite the fact that Matt Rule is a totally different coach than we've had in the past, I just was a skeptic going into the game. And dude, right out of the gate, they showed up, man.
Yeah.
How freaking awesome as a Husker fan is it to see nationally televised game? Everybody's watching, hype.
Prime time.
And Nebraska not only takes care of business, but like just right out of the gate.
Well, I think there's 2 sides to this, right? I think Colorado has created a self-fulfilling prophecy for themselves where they have made themselves like the forefront. Everybody needs to see us. We need to talk right now. We're going to win. And that creates a lot of pressure. And so when Nebraska comes out of the gate, it starts to unravel really quickly because there is that mental aspect of we've got to do something now. And when Nebraska continues, do we have 4 or 5 sacks in the first half? Yeah. When that continues to happen, I mean, Shador even addresses that in his post-game presser. And he's throwing the entire game on his O-line, saying, how many times did Raiola get touched? What did you want me to do?
Right.
Like, that's crazy. And that's part of that system that they've created. And Nebraska, over the last 7 or 8 years, is finally has that chip on their shoulder, has the talent, has the coaching. I mean, we've had talent for years, but we've never been organized in a manner like this. And those two systems colliding was just a nightmare for fans in Boulder.
That was fun. It was fun to watch. The things I think about when you compare the Rule era, the Dion show, is it makes me go back in time and look at Frost Warning and We Comin'. I think they're the same thing.
Yep.
They're the exact same thing. It's the same mantra. It's I, not us, us, us. And we saw it on display last night. It was fun to watch as a Husker fan. And the fans that were sitting behind me from Boulder, they were pretty sad.
Yeah, I bet they looked sad.
They were very sad. And some of them, they stayed the whole time.
I mean, respect.
Some left after the first half, but some stayed the entire game. So
Good. Yeah. And, Mike, you bring up the III and the Frost advisory, and I think we should blame ourselves for that. I don't blame Scott Bleep for that. But I think when you see Bud Crawford lead the team out of locker,
that's pretty sick.
it's like, okay,
We got celebrities too.
You've got juice.
I don't know
Yep.
I don't know how often you should do that, but we should do that more than once.
Yeah.
When do you have Bud Crawford leading you out?
Yeah.
It's like this is different. This is a different team. Let's get into, if you will, the triumphs. Connor, you alluded to it. Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmaker making their presence felt.
Oh, yeah.
Right up the middle.
Incredible.
And Kyle, that was one of your main points going in for your positivity, was their O-line
Mhm.
and their D-line, even though their D-line's a little bit better. Their O-line is obviously a liability.
Yep.
And you're a Big Ten team with all these old linemen and a lot of very talented young linemen. Dude, there was a time when I saw Kai Wallen, Prince Will,
Van Poppel was out there.
yeah, Van Poppel was out there. I just see all these guys, and I'm like, not only do they have, it's not top heavy, it's all the way down the depth chart.
Yeah.
And so they really took advantage of that, and they got after Shadur and put him on his butt.
Yeah. I mean, like you even saw your boy Willis at the very end of the game getting after that offensive line.
That
and
strip
get
sack.
that strip sack.
Yep.
I mean, like, and that's what I'm talking about, right? Like Dion's approach to building his football program. He has now switched out that offensive line room twice since he's been there. He's been there 2 years. Okay. He has now switched that offensive line out twice.
And if he stays, he's going to have to do it a third time.
Yes.
Because look, I'm going to tell you right now, I texted you guys at some point in that game, and I said, Dion now, I think it was like in the third quarter, I said, Dion has got his headset off, and he looks like he's on the sideline right now, like beating his adopted puppies. That's what it looked like. He was over there on the offensive line bench, and he's like screaming at him and stuff like that. And it's like, brother, this is what you've done. Look, when Matt Rule took over, Bryce Benhart, we used to not even say his name. It was number 54.
54.
Yep.
And Matt Rule stuck with that kid. He didn't go to Bryce Benhart and say, you know what, you're not good enough. Get out. I'm going to go find somebody else that's better. He didn't say that. No, he said, hey, we're just going to keep developing. And in the last 2 years, since that kind of that talk has been had and that approach has been taken, you've seen Bryce Benhart become somebody that you can rely on. You don't even say his name anymore. You
Might
don't
be
have
a
to.
borderline Sunday guy. I mean,
Could be.
we've talked about this in the past. The trenches in particular, especially the offensive line, you cannot build that through the portal. They've got a true freshman, a 5-star left tackle, true freshman, 18 years old out there starting. And what do you expect? This is what Jared preaches all the time. Like, you do not want to see freshmen playing on the offensive line.
It's like the one
That's
unit
an
where
issue.
You can't have it.
Yeah, it's a
that's-
huge issue.
And that, again, boils back down to what Kyle was saying is Dion, for the last 2 years, has been seeing a problem and slapping a Band-Aid on it.
Yep.
And he's not actually addressing what the issue is, which is what Matt Rule has been incredible at doing.
He's not coaching. He's not. He's going out and he's finding the shiny toys that are leaving other programs.
Yep.
There's a defensive lineman that was in there. He's a transfer from Alabama. Did nothing all game. Nothing.
Because he didn't play at Alabama. you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Right. He's just going out and he's finding little band-aids, like you just said, Connor, and he's basically just slapping them all over the field and hoping that they work out. He's not building anything. He's basically just plugging and playing and hoping it works.
Well, and he continues to talk about how he's getting all these stars on his roster. Did he leave them in Boulder this week? Were they in Lincoln?
They
I'm
were
just
there.
confused.
Seriously.
Like,
They didn't show up.
no, I didn't see anything from Colorado that I really thought. I mean, we understood going into this game that Nebraska was a severely improved team compared to what we were last year.
Yep.
We knew that coming in. But you would have thought Colorado would have made some sort of stride. And it almost feels like they regressed.
We saw what they look like against North Dakota State, and not throwing shade at North Dakota State.
That's a good team.
They are a very good FCS school.
Right.
But they are an FCS football team.
Yeah.
And they very well could have won that game against Colorado last week.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't, because it feels way better to beat a 1-0 Colorado
yeah.
team. But yeah, I mean, we saw what their talent level versus NDSU's talent level looked like, and it looked the same. That is an FCS school in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it just seems, looking at the other sideline and how Coach Prime does things, it's all just a big, it's cliche by now, but just a huge self-promotion and celebrity thing. And like Terrell Owens is on the sidelines. Like, it
They've
just
got
seems
Warren
so-
Sapp on their staff. And by the way, 2 weeks ago, they interviewed Warren Sapp, and he starts talking about his defensive line, and he starts talking about guys on the defense. And at one point he goes, yeah, we've got this guy. And then he goes, and then we got that young guy. It didn't even know his name. Didn't even know the guy's name. Dude. Yeah. It's just like, I bet you Matt Rule knows every name on that roster.
It
But
just
you
He
know,
can
seems,
walk down the hallways and he can say, oh, hey.
I'll
Yeah.
bet you he knows their parents' names.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
it just seems so superficial, and it'll be interesting to see the whole, will he get fired? Will he leave? It'll be interesting how that'll be handled.
And
by-
listen, when the first recruiting class came up and he had completely overhauled his entire roster with transfer players, there were coaches around the country saying yeah, it's kind of a new thing that we're seeing. We'll see if it works out. People had their doubts. And last night I had tweeted out the primetime experiment is over. I just don't think it's going to work. I didn't think it was going to work when he was doing it for the first year. And now, after seeing last night and the difference between Nebraska, how they've built, and Colorado, how they've built, I just think that experiment is over. I don't think it works. It just doesn't.
Even with a unique figure like that, where I guess if it could ever work, it's with a dude like that who is a cult of personality.
Yeah.
You're seeing that even Nick Saban's no, the greatest of all time, and Tom Osborne
You're
would not do it that way.
Correct.
I think the most damaging part of what Deion's done at Colorado, frankly, I don't care what he does to the program. I've never liked Colorado as a program. What I think is most damaging is what's been happening to the players, and they're adopting that kind of personality, because NFL teams are watching you. There are eyes on you every game. And we saw, I think it was 3 minutes, 53 seconds left in the fourth. Shedeur gets pulled, and they say he got dinged up. It was that targeting call. And he threw a little fit on the sideline and took his media team into the locker room and just left his team on that field. And the NFL sees that, man.
Yeah.
We understand Shedeur is a good quarterback. I'm not sitting here dogging his talent. I will dog his personality and his character. It's shown on TV.
Well, and you brought up Shedeur in the NFL, and there was breaking news right before we went live that Dak Prescott just got paid. He's the highest paid player in NFL history. And the Cowboys saw how Shedeur played, and they're like, yeah, we ain't drafting that guy.
Yeah.
So we'll just pay
We
Dak.
got to stick with Dak.
We know who we got here with Dak. We'll just ride with that.
Yeah. One player I really want to shout out from last night was Tommy Hill.
Yeah.
Dog.
Tommy Hill does not get enough credit. And then did you see he was in the post game talking about his conversations with Travis Hunter.
Mhm.
And he said when the game started, he said, nothing's going to be easy today. I'm going to make you earn everything. And he said, and we kept playing. And by the third quarter, he wasn't talking to me at all anymore.
Mhm.
And for a guy like Travis Hunter to just shut down mentally on you, Travis Hunter is one of the greatest athletes in the NCAA right now.
Yep.
I will give him those roses. To shut down a guy mentally like that, that's crazy. That is absolutely absurd.
Yeah, a dude who likes to chirp doesn't chirp anymore, and it's
Yeah.
take care of business, right?
Well,
and I know that
yeah.
we kind of jumped to Tommy Hill, but I just want to point out about the lines. We had kind of asked ourselves, can Nebraska get pressure with just 3 or 4?
And they did.
They could have gotten pressure with 1.
yeah.
Okay.
It felt
And
like they
again-
were letting him through.
just swinging gate, right?
Yeah.
Did you guys hear Ty talk after the game?
Oh yeah.
What do you say?
He said last year they didn't get to feel me for the full game. He goes, I made sure tonight they felt me for all 60 minutes.
Dude, the first drive right away. It's that sack and the pass that he batted down too.
I think his nickname was White Gorilla, and then you got the polar bear. They looked like a white gorilla and a polar bear last night. They were
they're
ferocious and
they're
dominant.
so big.
They're just big
They are
humans.
massive human beings.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I guess what we can do here is we're 15 minutes into this thing. So we can kind of just break down the different phases of the game.
Yeah.
So I do want to start, since we're already kind of talking about Nash and Ty and Ty Hill.
Yeah.
We can kind of talk about defense a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought John Bullock had as good of a game that I've ever seen out of a
best
linebacker in the last 5 years.
Yep.
And that's even talking about Luke Reimer and all those guys that have come before him. That dude was, and Husker Army's in here, and he says diabolical. John Bullock, if you remember, if you haven't seen it, or I guess haven't gone back and looked at it, that pick six by Hill was mainly because John Bullock had cut off the slant route. That was probably read number one. And then he's under pressure and he's panicking. He tosses it out there. And,
500.
and and Tommy Hill just grabs it and takes it in the end zone. And so Bullock several times last night was just wreaking havoc. He was everywhere.
He has that face paint on.
Yeah.
He went to
he's
war.
getting tackles for loss. He's fitting he's in his fits perfectly. Like he really did a great job last night.
And last week, we're talking about John Bullock right now, but last week we had brought up Ty Robinson and how these are guys that have been around for a long time. And so when you play UTEP and Ty Robinson can read a screen, and instead of like most players are going to go full bore at the quarterback and try to knock their head off, he backs up and he plays the screen.
Yeah.
That's why a guy like John Bullock, when he announces on Instagram that he's coming back, it's like, all right, we need more of this veteran leadership. Is he like the most talented dude who's going to get drafted within the first 2 days? Probably not.
No.
But you said he plays his fits. He knows he's a grinder.
Yeah.
He's
right.
what Nebraska needs right now.
Dependable.
Know your role, do it well.
I mean, if you want to talk about a Nebraska guy, walk on.
Yep.
Was a safety. Matt Rule.
Yeah.
Tinkered.
Grew up in Omaha.
Yeah. Tinkered with him. Him and his brother, both walk-ons. Tinkers with Mr. Bullock. Makes him a linebacker.
Yeah.
And the guy plays like a safety still. He looks like a linebacker. He's built like a linebacker, but he still has that speed, and he was able to just control the middle of the field the entire game.
Yeah. Bayer's another guy that
let's go.
he had
Targeting.
2 fourth down stops. 2. There was one where he ran a perfect spot just to make sure, like the line was moving to the right, he runs to the left, make sure that his spot is controlled, runs right into the running back, done. He had 2 of those last night.
On that 4th and 1, he comes and stonewalls it. People are going to bring up the targeting call.
It's unfortunate.
How it got railroaded.
Worst rule in all of sports.
I will say
Ejections are dumb.
with Northern Iowa next week, it's probably a good thing that happened last night. So he's going to miss half against Northern Iowa.
Yeah.
Hey, but you know what though? If we have seen anything from Tony White, it's next man up.
Yeah, and they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Hey,
They
I've
all
never
play
heard of this
anyways.
guy before. Bring him in. Let's go.
Yep.
And we were talking about earlier how like we're not top heavy in a lot of these positions. We've got talented guys sitting back there waiting to get a chance.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's not a life or death thing.
They play anyways. That's the thing about this defensive staff and Matt Rule in general. The amount of people that get on the field, we have never seen this under other head coaches.
Yeah.
I mean, they play their guys and that's it. Matt Rule is the total opposite. We have just lines of players coming out at every position.
Yeah. The defense last night did not hurt themselves with pass interference calls against an elite wide receiver room. And I say elite because they truly are. They are a great wide receiver room, especially with Shadur throwing them the ball.
It would have been
They did
very
not-
easy.
Yeah, it would have been very easy on those 3rd and longs when he's just tossing up dimes, right, to sit there and be yanking on the wide receivers because they're lost or they're behind or whatever. And that's also credit to the defensive line and the front 7 and those guys and Tony White drawing up some good blitzes and things and some good pressures. But for the most part, the safeties, the corners, those guys did not hurt themselves by just panicking and yanking dudes to the ground and things like that.
Like, oh, Travis Hunter's for athletic. He's going to burn me. I'm going to grab his jersey.
Yeah, nope. They kept him in front, and they knew that, hey, I've got room to work. Let's just make this tackle, and it's over.
And dude, just going back to that Tommy Hill interception, that's called making a play. I don't know if you've like actually watched it.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of these.
No.
He was like, bam, and like he probably had stickum on his gloves, all for it. Freaking makes a play. Make a play.
Yeah.
He did. How long has Tommy Hill been wanting to score a darn touchdown?
Right.
That's all he wants to do is score touchdowns.
There was a narrative coming into this game that, like, hey, the NFL scouts are watching how Tommy Hill performs against a Travis Hunter.
Roll the tape, baby.
Roll the tape.
Yep.
Because you'll be pleased with what you saw last night.
Yeah, I think last Monday I talked about, so this could be Tommy Hill's draft day.
Yeah.
His draft day tape, and he put it on there.
Yeah.
The scouts are probably drooling.
Yeah.
They're like, wow,
Listen,
this guy's good.
the game was mostly like every other game, is Colorado throwing the football, throwing it. And Nebraska held them to 260 yards. Colorado averaged 360 last year. That's an average. In other games, hell, they've got 400 yards, whatever. But to hold these guys to 260 yards and the time of possession, 35 minutes to 24. That's exactly what the doctor ordered. That's exactly what the unlicensed counselors up here.
Unlicensed. You know how much education I had to get to become a Cornnhusker counselor? It was just a long process.
Yeah.
I barely got the documents in to do this today, guys, but we're here. So we're licensed.
Dude, that's exactly what the counselors ordered.
Yep.
When we were talking about this game last week, we said you have to keep Shadur and those guys on the sidelines. And they did.
They did it by running the ball incredibly effectively.
Yeah.
I mean, we noticed, we talked about this multiple times, where that RB room is really an OR room. We've got 4 guys back there that we can get them through. Dante Dowdell had a great game.
He did.
I feel, honestly, Shiloh Sanders gets hurt by Dante Dowdell. Have you guys rewatched that play?
Yeah.
He turns at him.
Yeah.
He saw him and went at him.
He chose violence.
Dude, he could have went this way. He went that.
He
way.
literally said, I could have made him miss, but I wanted to establish the game right then and there.
Well, and what did we talk about last week as well, or maybe it was a week prior, that we know that Colorado plays that way, where, the second guy's always going to be if you react, you're going to get called with something.
Yep.
Be the aggressor, be number one. And Dante Dowdell heard that and heard it clearly.
You know what's funny about that too is the next play is that touchdown run.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And at the goal line, Travis Hunter clearly makes a business decision. It's like, he could have made contact. He was right there. But Dante Dowdell running full speed at you after you just saw what he did to Shiloh. I'm gonna take this one. I'm gonna take this one off.
Yep.
He's in. We're good.
Stops.
Yeah.
They said he likes to run through your face, is what the coaches say about Dowdell, and he did that.
Yeah, I mean, there was a point in the offseason where the coaches were talking to the media, and they're like, one of the problems is Dante just it's almost too much contact. There was that play along the sideline where he could have just stepped out, but instead he lowers his shoulder. You could probably take that off. You could probably just
Protect your body? Nah.
Nah.
Yeah, we had said during the UTEP game he has the fumble and it's like, oh boy. But overall he had the best day versus UTEP. And I wanted him to start. He did not start. It was Ramir. But it was the way that Dowdell runs. It's that downhill style. I want to play Colorado like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do we call him soft? Soft Big 12 team?
Oh,
Are we there?
Dude,
Yeah.
Iowa
Are we
State's
doing
going to
that?
blow them out.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, too, is, again, you're going to have people that might poo-poo this. It's just UTEP. It's just Colorado. Bottom line, they played like it was Colorado. They played like it was a soft Big 12 team.
Mm-hmm.
They showed up, and they did their job. Again, we've preached this last week. How many times have we seen a Nebraska team go up against an inferior opponent and play down to them?
Yep.
Not last night.
Matt Rule said in his press conference, I expected this result. We expected to dominate them.
Yeah.
And it showed.
Yeah.
And you're right. People have been saying, it was just UTEP. It was just Colorado. But for how many years have we had to hear on Sunday mornings, well, it was just Nebraska? Like, you shouldn't feel that good about that win.
Exactly.
They've been saying about us for years.
Hey, how do you think Notre Dame fans are feeling right now.
Right.
Not great. I'm actually going to see one in about 30 minutes. So he should have come here for some counseling.
Northern Illinois, was it?
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
they just have a way about them, don't
Yeah,
they?
they beat
Northern
us.
Illinois.
Remember that? Mike Riley, you remember that, buddy?
Tanner Lee, you remember that pick
Yeah.
six? Wasn't it 2 pick sixes or just one? I don't know. Anyway, sorry. I know that we're kind of going through, like, the last thing we talked about was the secondary and the defense overall. Is there anything else about the defense that you want to point out? We talked about the D-line dominating, Tommy Hill putting the tape out for the NFL draft. John Bullock is a dog.
A dog.
I do want to.
Bayer's a dog.
I do want to give Buford his flowers a little bit too.
Yep.
Like he was over there holding his own the entire time, and that's a guy that played safety last year. He's been battling through injuries. He comes in here. We're kind of like, is he really the corner? He's gonna be the starting corner on that side. It's not Bly. It's not. And Sire Wright came in and played pretty well too, but like that guy, those DBs all are playing at a high level.
Okay, another guy, and I think it was just the one sack that he had, but MJ Sherman got a sack on Shadur. I kind of thought that. Not gonna lie, I was like, MJ Sherman, I don't know how to feel about him. You know, he's a big time transfer guy. Don't really know. I think this season he's gonna play very well.
Yeah,
I think this is kind of his start of like being that pass rushing guy, and he did it last night.
Yep. Jamari did a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody did.
Princewell had that long pursuit for that like huge sack that ended up getting called back because of a offsides call. But
You get a sack.
yeah, I mean everybody was
Big Mac's flying.
and I wrote that on here, and I said everyone on the front got their licks in yesterday.
Yep.
Every single one.
Yeah.
So is it too early in the season to start a GoFundMe to keep Tony White here?
I don't think it's ever too early to do that.
Yeah, with a
Yeah.
performance like that against a team like Colorado, I'm gonna miss him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss him.
So, all right. So we are now 30 minutes in. This goes by quick. This
Yes,
goes by
it
quick.
does.
It does.
Hello, Ja'Cory Barney. Let's move to the offense. Hello, Ja'Cory Barney.
They really want him to have the ball, don't they?
They sure do.
And
I
so
can
do
see,
I.
I can see
Yeah.
why. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is so fast.
He makes fast
makes
people
fast-
look not that. Hey, so I will say there was a guy a recruit that was in town last night that
One of
they
the
want.
30.
Well, yeah, but this one in particular, 5-star wide receiver, Michael Terry,
Mhm.
and this is what they've been pitching to him is they want him to be a player like Ja'Cory Barney, and what a better way to show him than while he's in Lincoln, seeing it right on the sidelines, Ja'Cory Barney just getting all these design plays, kind of like what we should have been doing with Wandell.
Yes,
They know how to use these gadget guys.
Yeah.
It's like
It was
they learned.
awesome.
Yeah,
If-
get
but
him in space and
Yeah.
let him hit the gas.
Yes.
If I'm Michael Terry, though, I'm like, dang, every time he gets a gain of more than 5 yards.
Okay.
We'll get on that.
So let's just go ahead and get this out of
You
the
want
way.
to get it out of the way?
Let's
or
get this out
save
of the
it
way.
or get it out the way.
Okay, so we have a comment in here from Eric. Said should have won by 40 something to 10, but refs had to make it about themselves last night. Okay, here's the deal. Everything we're about to talk about with the offense has to have an asterisk on it. Okay, one of the points that I wanted to bring up was Matt Rule in his post game press conference says that they need to find some sort of like median in aggression and being safe when you've got a lead like that, right?
Right.
Last night in the second half, there's a lot to be like. There was a lot left to be desired. Part of that is you've got a 28-point or 25-point lead, and your defense is holding them strong, like they're not doing anything, right? And so, sure, Matt Rule and Marcus Satterfield can come out and they can say, "Look, we're just going to keep running the ball. Let's just run down the clock. This doesn't have to be flashy. We don't have to put the ball in the air. We don't have to be doing anything crazy like what we kind of saw in the first half. We don't have to be that aggressive. We can just kind of keep playing it safe and let's just run out the clock and go home." What I'll say is on the officiating, there were big plays.
There was explosive plays.
There were big plays, and there were gambles taken by Dylan Raiola. You saw the 2nd and 20, up the middle to Borkature. He gets the first down. You saw the 2 long plays. You had a run by Ramir, and then you had Ja'Cory Barney taking it like 60 yards or something. They got called back. We'll talk about that play specifically because I want to get into that. But the officiating really killed anything that would have kept the lead going. Some of it justified, some of it not. So I just wanted to get that out there for everybody because it is something that you have to put an asterisk on the second half because that officiating, by all accounts, the commentators, the analysts on TV, Colorado fans, Nebraska fans, was just atrocious. So that's something you need to get out there.
Hey, don't you guys miss those Big 12 refs?
God,
They sure missed us.
Boy.
They had to get their entire year's worth in one game. And they did. Those flags were flying.
21
It looked
flags.
like 6 flags out there.
21,
It was fun.
21.
That was brutal.
Yeah, look, and if you want to get technical, like, yeah, there probably was a few holding. But it's
Come on now. The 25-point game. Have some awareness of what's going on.
Right.
20,
They got held every play. Nebraska got held every play. We could have had 20 sacks in that game.
21 penalties in that game.
Yes.
For
That is
200 plus
like
yards.
every 2.5 minutes.
Yep.
That is
There was-
absurd.
There was that one drive near the end there that there was a flag on every play.
It was wild. We go get the yards. Oh, nope. Coming back. Oh, we get the yards again. Oh, nope. Coming back.
Seriously, after every play, I'm looking at the green to see if there's a yellow speck.
And there was.
yeah.
After every freaking play, it seemed like it.
Someone on that officiating crew knew their parents were watching. They just wanted to be seen.
Just wanted to be seen. So talking about that Ja'Cory Barney run, I think it was like a jet pass. He takes it around the left and he is leaping over Ramir Johnson on his way down the field. And Ramir is pancaking a kid,
No block, no
taking
rock,
him
baby.
straight down to
Cool.
the ground. And that was called a holding. One, thank you, Ramir, for pancaking a dude that you probably should never be pancaking.
yeah.
But it was just like that. That is just a perfect example of like, that's kind of what we were dealing with last night. You were getting aggressive. You were putting your playmakers in space. You were trying to take it down the field and things just kind of kept getting called back. But yeah,
Big 12 refs see aggression and they go, this aggression will not stand. Huh. Not good. Come on, guys. I want to play Colorado more. Well, here's the thing. I'm saying that because I think it is a legit rivalry.
Yeah.
But if we're going to play a Big 12 team, we got to find other refs. That's all.
Yeah.
And look, I don't like complaining about the refs. You guys know this.
You're not that guy.
But even me, I'm like, dude, can we just play football?
and listen, I'm not going to sit up here and be like, oh, it was so one-sided, everything
No.
like that.
No.
Because there were missed calls, and then you had that like roughing the passer call on Dylan Raiola.
Yep.
That was awful.
it was not
awful.
roughing the passer.
It wasn't roughing the passer. In the NFL, it is, though. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it was ticky tack.
yeah, but everything was ticky tack. That was the
Yeah.
issue. And
Yeah.
these ref officiating crew is just, it was terrible. It was terrible.
I think that's a big part of this. Is I'm not even up here saying like, oh, like you said, the officiating was so one-sided. I'm just saying the officiating sucked.
Yes.
Overall was
It
bad.
just
It was
wasn't
bad.
good.
I feel bad for the other Big 12 teams that have to deal with that all year long.
Yeah.
We have an Iowa State fan in
Yes.
the background going,
Our good friend Brett is here. He is still riding that high of Iowa State upsetting Iowa. So everybody, round of applause for Iowa State. Shout out.
That's the one day a year I'll root for Iowa State.
Yes. Oh, I was wearing that.
51 yarder, 54
54 yarder.
nails.
Gosh, wouldn't it be nice if we had a kicker that could make
Okay,
a
no, you stop that.
We'll
You
get
stop
it.
it.
We'll get there.
You stop. Okay, so the offense, right? I think, the first drive, they're trying to get, Dylan's feet wet. They're doing screen passes. But you could see them start to open things up. Just missed that. I think it was a wheel route to Jalen Lloyd.
Oh,
hit
yeah.
him in the fingertips.
That was a good throw.
They tried to
I
get his
thought it
feet wet. It was he aired it too long, obviously, because he didn't catch it. But you could tell that they were trying to settle him in, get a run game going, and then we'll kind of open things up. And true freshman quarterback under the lights, and he handled it. Right. That's one of the things that we were worried about, Mike, was, oh boy, what's going to happen? We're nervous.
Yep.
Us fans are nervous. Hopefully Dylan's not. Didn't seem that way.
No.
He played a very just efficient game.
Yeah. Like my note
Yeah.
here was first half was explosive and methodical. Like
Yes.
it was just very like when they ran, it worked. When they threw, it worked. Like everything just seemed to click. Everything was just
It
working.
was working.
We'll just say, though, there was one that should have been picked off.
Yeah,
That ended up
yeah.
in a tutty. That was just a dog being a dog.
Listen,
I'm telling you.
hot potato, hot potato.
Yeah.
Well, and he
Ramir
tipped
wanted
it to
it more.
himself. He took it from the guy, he tipped it to himself and caught it. It was
It's good.
sick.
Give me ESPN top 10, Sports Center top 10 plays.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
There was two throws. There was two throws by Dylan I thought were a little suspicious. It was him like rolling way out to the right, throwing across his body. That was the one that came up real short, and Lloyd had to come back
And he
for
caught
it.
it.
And he caught it on like the 2-yard line.
Yep.
Yeah.
But there was two defenders there, so if they were watching, that's probably an easy pick.
Maybe, yeah.
And then there was that one to Ramir that should have been picked and ended up being a touchdown. But you know what I love is that we say it should have been a pick,
And
but
it
it wasn't.
wasn't.
But it wasn't. It was not.
It's been so
So
long since we've been able to say that.
We never catch a break. We never
Yeah.
catch a break, right?
If that's
We caught breaks.
if that's not your break,
Make
then
your
what
own
are we
breaks,
doing?
right?
So like you think of those are the two like main plays that stick out in my mind is the Tommy Hill and the hot potato to Ramir. And just those are two plays that we hope are indicative of the mental corner, right?
Mhm.
That this team is hopefully taking where should have been a pick, but it wasn't.
Yep, here comes our
Oh.
professional psychology segment here on Cornhusker Counseling.
Oh,
Yes.
it should have went over Tommy Hill's hands, but it didn't.
It did not.
They made a play. They didn't let barriers get in the way of winning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
This
They
is what we
also-
wanted. And it's like when you see a play like the Ramir hot potato, it's like, is the tide turning?
Are the
things-
turntables?
Like, are things going our way now? Like, this is cool.
I hesitate to get super excited, but this is what we expect out of a year 2 Matt Rule. I mean, we've said for the last several years that the talent has been in Lincoln.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mental strength hasn't. And I think that's a big part of what Matt Rule is bringing to the table.
Yeah. When you simplify the thing, everybody that talks in front of the media, they all say, we're just going to go 1-0. And I think this is the first time we've heard the day by day stuff for years.
Right.
I think it's the first time they actually believe that.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we actually just have to take this one day at a time, win one game at a time, and we'll see what the record looks like at the end of the year.
The players are bought in because we finally have a head coach who it's been a very long time since I've been able to say we have a head coach that is just as bought in as any of these players. Matt Rule genuinely believes what he's saying about Nebraska and what this program can be. And it's been a long time since I've believed a coach saying that.
And I've seen several reports of so Kim Kavlak, who's in the building, says it was the Husker team your parents have been telling you about.
My dad was telling me about
yeah.
It's funny you say that because so I'm walking through. It took me 40 minutes to get out of my seats out of the stadium last night. 40 minutes. We were just standing there. Nobody was moving. And I'm walking through it. It took us, I'm telling you, from start to finish, 2 hours to get home. And I'm walking through the bridge, the pedestrian bridge, to get to the Haymarket. And I turned to Sarah. I said, is this what it was like in the 90s?
Yeah.
No, seriously, people are happy. Everybody's going nuts. It was just the most fun experience I've probably ever had as a Husker fan.
So we
Really?
go from week 1 where they play UTEP, they play all these freshmen, they
Yep.
play 108 people. It's like 1996 Michigan State where they just utterly destroyed Nick Saban's Spartans, right?
Yep.
That's in the 90s. And then we have this game where we destroy Colorado and everyone's feeling good. Kind of like the 90s.
It
Yeah,
kind of
so
felt
just
like the
kinda-
90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's been feeling very 90s lately. Okay. The other thing too about Dylan, 3rd and 10 scramble for first down. On that first drive.
You got to slide.
Yes, please.
We need you, Dylan.
We don't have prescription pads here at
Dylan.
Cornhusker Counseling. We can't prescribe anything for
We're
that.
working on it.
Yeah,
we're
can
working
we?
on the prescription pads. We just need a business to sponsor it, and we'll start writing prescriptions.
There you go.
Yeah.
Not valid at any
Listen,
pharmacy.
Not valid at anywhere else besides here on this
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
we're here for you mentally to get you through these games mentally. But if you're going to get freaking just pancaked, we need you, Dylan.
Yeah.
Hey,
But
I love the run.
yeah, and that's
Please
the thing.
protect yourself.
Again, like this is a guy who isn't going to run a lot. He's going to do the Patrick Mahomes. Every once in a while, he's going to scamper.
That's
You got to know how to take a hit without taking a hit.
that's a scouting thing though too. Is they were probably watching
Those lanes were huge against
Yeah.
North Dakota State.
exactly.
Yep.
So he's like, they probably were talking to Dylan all week, like, hey, if it's not there, just go. There's
Just
nobody
go.
there to stop
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I do like. I'm kind of on the other side of the fence here. I like Dylan getting a hit out of the way. It's a game. It's a physical game. It's a rivalry game. I want you to get your feet wet. And I know he said before the game, hey, what's it going to be like playing Memorial Stadium at nighttime or whatever? He's like, well, it's going to be like the stadium lights will be on and the sun will be down. And that's all he said. He just like totally said it wasn't going to be anything crazy.
Yeah.
I like that you go in, you take a hit, just get ready. You wore that green jersey all year and you really didn't get touched at all against UTEP.
Yeah.
So take your hit. It's fine. But I'm sure Heinrich was like, hey, buddy,
Yeah.
I tried that last year and I wanted to be the aggressor. By the end of the year, I was hurting.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but luckily we're not running him like Heinrich. So
Right.
it should be fine. But I was actually okay with him going and getting it and slide in the future, but I was fine with it.
The nerves on that kid, like you could see him during the broadcast. Of course, I was not inside the stadium last night. I was watching just outside. But anytime that broadcast would pan over to him, he looks like he just doesn't care. He's here to do a job. And even after the hit, they showed him and he just did not seem phased whatsoever. It's just, okay, on to the next play. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love seeing this out of a quarterback.
It's a leader. With
Yeah.
all due respect to Harburg and Tommy Armstrong and Taylor Martinez and Adrian Martinez. Seems different
It does
with
seem-
him.
It does seem
It
different.
just does. And I know we're 2 games in. Seems different.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we talking about special?
So we've got 5 minutes left on the offense.
Okay.
So I did want to bring up there was a moment in the game last night. They were showing Dion on the broadcast, and he's going like this to his defense. So he knows we're going to throw the ball. And one of the things that I've seen kind of brought up is how do you make it a little less predictable between, hey, Dowdell's in the game, they're probably going to run it.
Yeah.
Hey, Ramir's in the game, they're
probably
probably
gonna
going to throw it.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you move forward? It's something that we kind of need to look at a little bit. Is like we obviously know at this point, or at least we assume, the 1 and 2 is Dowdell and Ramir.
Yep.
And Ramir is clearly the dude had one-handed catches running along the flat route and like just was balling out in the catching game. How do we make that a little less predictable? Because it was clear Dion on the sidelines in the broadcast is telling his defense, hey, they're going to throw the ball. They're going to throw the ball. And the next thing you know, they show the play and there it is, play action to Ramir, and it was over.
Yeah. I think if you want to get some of that obvious stuff out of the way, run a couple simple screen passes, swing passes. I know it's a scary term, but run some of that stuff with Dowdell just to put it on tape. Because then it kind of eliminates some of that. Oh, well, Dowdell's in. We know that they're going to run.
Yeah.
Or they're going to do a short pass and he's just going to be there to pass pro. So it's kind of tricky.
Yeah, I mean, so BA is in here. He says predictable isn't necessarily bad in football, though. And to be honest with you, I don't understand that whole thing, like why it would be good or why it isn't good. So I maybe challenge you to write us up a little blog, because I would love like a breakdown on that.
Well, and I don't want to speak for BA, but like you asking this question kind of makes me think, just do what you do best.
Keep it simple.
Like, keep it simple. If this is what you're good at, let's not get too cute and try to do flashy things or something that you're not well suited for. Just do what you do best.
So that was like my big thing is, yes, we were predictable. Frankly, I want to see a couple more read options. I think that'd be fun. But I mean, Dion,
With Dylan,
a little bit,
you want to see Dylan run more?
a little bit, not a ton, just a little.
Feel like you're playing with fire, buddy.
I don't really want to see that.
But again, like Dion obviously had a good feel of what Nebraska's offense was looking like last night. Did they stop it?
No.
Then I don't care.
And
Yeah.
probably not.
Yeah, then I don't care.
So one thing on like Colorado's defense in the second half, they did ball out pretty good. I mean, they held the scoreless in the second half, but
Right,
again,
right.
it was very predictable.
12 people on the field every time. You've got the 11 players and the referee.
Boy.
Yeah,
I mean, it does make it easier when you do have an
true.
advantage.
Yeah, you're getting bailed out quite a bit,
a lot.
obviously,
Every time.
But I'm just saying, like they blitzed pretty much everybody on every down, because they knew, hey, we just want to get out of here with a win. We just want to run the clock down and be done with it. So of course we're just going to run it up the middle. We're going to run to the left, run to the right. Just send everybody and just stuff the run and make them throw it on long downs. So I mean,
I had, just sent out a tweet. I'm like, I know it's 28-3, but am I a crappy fan for kind of questioning what Sat's doing here, Coach Sat? I don't know. It's just,
He looked really good in the first half. All I got to say, I was like, okay, Sat knows what he's doing. So I I get what you're saying. I think BA texted me about that this morning too. Is like, okay, I do have a little bit of feelings towards the way that Sat was calling that game in the second half. But like we talked earlier, though, when those explosives are gone, like if they don't throw flags on every single explosive play we had in the second half, we probably put up 40 points, 40-some points.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
they took a touchdown off the board.
Yeah.
So
So try not to hold as best you can and give the ball to Corey Barney more.
yes.
And I think Coach Sat he'll at least still have a job if he does that.
Yeah.
Right.
Before we jump over to the next, I know special teams is coming up here. I know it's only week 2, but 2 words that I really like right now: turnover margin. I'm liking it.
Yeah, or +3.
Yeah. I mean, where were we at week 2 or after week 2 last season?
Like negative something.
Yeah.
Like negative
Negative number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would think, right?
Yeah.
So I really love that.
Yeah. To close out the offense, I just want to point out that we had 6.2 yards per catch last night. Colorado had 6.1. So if you are matching Travis Hunter and that other guy,
Jimmy Horn.
Jimmy Horn,
Yeah, I didn't really do anything.
and
so.
Shadur Sanders, if you're matching them in the yards per catch category, you're doing pretty good.
It's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah. I mean,
Not
that's
only
what
matching, beating. I mean, it's 10th a yard, but
Beating, yeah.
Don't care.
that's
Yeah,
what
don't care.
That's what Colorado's known for. That's what they want to do, and you were better than them on that night.
And
So-
we ran it much better on top of that. So
yeah,
Well, they didn't run it at all.
Going out of the first half, I think they had negative 20 rushing yards.
24, yeah,
Negative
negative 24.
If their backup quarterback didn't have those little scampers at the end of the game, we
Yeah.
would have held them to negative rushing yards.
Amazing.
He
Yes.
had like 17 or 18 rushing yards, and it got them, I think, to even or net positive just a little bit.
They ended the night at 16 rushing yards.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and it was all from the scrambling of that backup quarterback. That was it.
Yeah, and I will say before we move on to special teams too, I know we're just keep adding caveats.
Yeah.
Before this, seeing a different, seeing Dion trot out his not son at quarterback was like, boom.
Yep.
How satisfying is that?
Yep.
Let's go.
You guys were getting destroyed so bad that you felt he was in danger
Yeah.
for the rest of the
We
game.
need
And
to
it was no
protect him.
point. There was no point in putting
Yep.
him in harm's way. That's how bad the black shirts played yesterday.
Who's that at quarterback coming out? His not son.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all I need to know.
I love that.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And there's no rolling. Oh, that was fun. At the end of the game, you guys weren't in the stadium. They played at the end of the game. They said, I just want to roll it. It was hilarious.
Perfect time.
The PR team had a day yesterday. The only thing they didn't do is they should have, since it was the 1994 thing, they should have had Warren Sapp huffing and puffing
Right.
on the screen.
Oh, that would have been good.
They did not have that. That's my one critique. But otherwise, the environment and the PAs and everything they were doing last night was awesome.
More trolling.
More trolling. Yeah.
Oh, and then
They did.
Dylan trolled a little bit after the game as well.
Yeah.
Threw on his watch. in the
Knighton
locker room.
did. Did you see Knighton's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, walking off.
beautiful.
That was great.
I'm just glad they won.
Oh,
Yep.
thank God.
All right. We've got like 8 minutes to talk about special teams.
Special teams. Tristan,
And it, dude.
No.
did you see Matt Rule's?
Oh, he was
No, I didn't
throwing
get to see it.
He was throwing daggers.
Oh, yeah.
He was the word that we want to use is exasperated. Like, what do I do? What do I do with you?
Was it a 32-yarder?
It was 35, maybe something like that.
So
Uh,
Like, what do I do with you?
At the tailgate, I heard somebody say, "Oh, that's a chip shot." And I just said, "Do you know who Tristan Alvano is?"
yeah,
Like, I don't understand, or I don't know if you understand the situation we're looking at here.
we can't keep moving forward with him.
I'm sorry, Tristan. It's time.
The hold was fine.
Yep.
Was it one of those things that I have continually been preaching about? Is making a 35-yarder in
Is
front of
harder,
90,000 is
yeah.
harder.
Then the 56.
Is this where it
It shouldn't
was
be
true?
though. It shouldn't be though. You have to be able to kick the ball inside 40 yards automatically.
Yeah.
It does so much harm to your offense if you can't do the most elementary things.
And up here too, psychologically, it's like we
Yes.
have to score, or this dude's gonna miss a 27-yarder.
Yes.
We have to score,
Yeah.
and of course, that's gonna bring up deficiencies with your play caller, who's probably not the best play caller. Anyway, it's like it's a cascading effect, man.
Yeah, Matt Rule said, like, I have to be able to score points in that position. I have to be able to say, hey, we're going to kick a field goal here and just take the 3.
He almost missed
But-
the PAT too.
But exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're getting to a point now where Matt Rule's going to start questioning, like, hey, it's 4th and 5 and we're on the 25. What do you do?
Yeah.
It was 14-0. Had a chance to make it 17.
3 scores.
But again, with the way that Colorado does their offense, would it have surprised you in the least if Colorado goes down and drives and they score in 3 plays and then it's a game again?
I was waiting for that.
Come
for
on,
a
dude. I
large
was
portion
nervous.
of that.
And that
First 10 minutes.
you just know that's probably what Matt Rule's thinking too. It's just like they're gonna freaking go down here and score, and then it's gonna be a game. It's gonna be a thing, and I'm gonna be stressed again.
Yeah.
It's like, what do I?
You can't.
Yeah.
Like,
Look, the
you can't do
blackjack
it.
playbook told you take the 3.
Yes.
Put us up.
You
Put
made
us
the
up.
right call.
He made the right call. Put it up. Just keep adding. Every time you can say, hey, we're up 3 scores. Hey, we're up 4 scores. Feels better and better and better.
Yeah.
You have to be able to just go up another score.
Well, I was nervous too. So if you guys remember, going into that kick, they let the quarter run down and they flipped the side of the field. So
Yep.
that gave Tristan another 3 minutes to think about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Get in his
coming out of
feelings.
that, I'm like, oh gosh, he's gonna do it. And he was on the left hash and just missed it so bad. Was it left on the
Yeah,
right hash
he
or
was
left?
on the left hash.
Yeah, left hash.
Which I
Missed it
love.
miserably.
For right-footed kickers, the left hash is home.
Yeah,
It's home.
Like,
nothing's home.
Yeah, not for Tristan.
No, I think they need to move forward with is it Hole? Is that a name?
HOHL
Jake
hole.
Cole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, some IDub
John
action. I think I'm sorry. They said that competition was close. We've seen what happens. The lights turn on. Some people don't got it when the lights turn on. And
It certainly is starting to become a pattern here.
Wait, hey, yeah, we've been preaching that all off season is the Alvano thing.
chasing 3. We're chasing 3 and we have a
Chasing
guy that can't make 3.
Yeah.
It hurts and it sucks because we are here celebrating an awesome win.
Yeah.
And we have to be a little nitpicky on some of the stuff. But like when you go into Big Ten play and these games are closer and you're playing physical teams and you need that 3 points
Mhm.
and you've got that in the back of your head, that's an issue.
It's not nitpicky.
No.
It's not.
It's a glaring
It
issue.
seems like it when it's 28-10 victory, but it could have easily not been a 20-10 victory here.
Yep.
Like, and especially in Big Ten play.
Yes.
Margin of error, razor thin. Bushini, though,
Dude,
his punt to the 2-yard
finally.
line. Like, Bushini, thank you again for, like, you weren't asked to do a whole lot yesterday.
I like that.
But you did what you had to do.
Yeah. He averaged 50.8 yards per punt with one
Gosh.
landing on the 2-yard line,
Yes.
love him.
which ultimately led to a pick 6.
I love him.
Hey, just a little fun extra credit shout out.
Yeah.
Dylan Raio's got a boot on him.
He does? Hey, that was close to being a great punt.
He said, I bladed my 60-degree. Otherwise, I would have nailed it inside. He said, and a little golf reference from Dylan. Yeah, and that was a good punt. He said he punted his sophomore year, and it showed. I mean, he actually has kind of a leg. Is there something he can't do?
Right.
I know
know.
he's a good golfer.
Yeah.
As of right now, lose.
Yeah.
Is what he can do.
Hey.
Good at it right now.
Relax.
It's 2 weeks.
Dang it.
Relax.
Dang it, there it is. That's the
There it
You
is.
cursed
You
us
and
again.
I, Brett's over there like, told you.
Yeah. All right. So, Bushini ended the day. He had 5 punts. 3 of them were inside the 20, and his long was 60 yards. So that you
Good
can
job.
work. You can work with that.
good job.
Absolutely.
He's another guy that we
This
were
has been
skeptical of.
This
but
has been his best season so far in his career. So
Yes,
far,
yeah.
2
So
games, his best season so far.
And just to give him flowers too, they tried the experiment again with the other guy doing kickoffs, and they immediately pulled him after that long return.
that's because
And
you were saying
Bushini,
kick it through the end zone because
said,
I don't want to see
I
it.
don't want to see their athletes or any athletes in general. I don't care if it's Colorado, if it's UTEP, if it's UNI. They have kick returners back there because they are dynamic with the football. We do not need to give them any extra opportunities to get the ball in space. So I said that last week. They go and do that, almost give a house call.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bushini came out there and he kicked off the ball very well. Like,
Yep.
He handled that well. As long as you can put them in the end zone, I'm not going to be as mad if they take it out of the end zone.
Right.
Right. If you can't kick it through the end zone, which obviously none of our kickers can, but if you can just put it in the end zone, that little buffer, that almost 15-yard buffer,
Yep.
if you're
Yeah.
giving the other kicker, that's important.
Yep.
Yeah, make them question whether they want to run it out. It makes things a lot easier.
Yeah.
Like, make them question it.
That's an issue though. That is an issue. And that return, I'm sure we are going to get into that, is that was something that was head scratching, but I'm glad we did get him out of bounds.
Yes.
Because I think we blocked the field goal in that drive, didn't we?
Yes.
Shoot,
I don't know.
Drive.
I don't know.
I'm trying to.
Well, again, it just kind of goes back to the point of like Nebraska goes down, they score, they have the lead, the other team gets a nice return, and
Yeah.
they use it as a catapult to even the game up. All I could think of as Jimmy Horn was running and streaking down the middle of the field, I'm like, oh, Mike Delaware, he said, kick it through the freaking end zone and don't let their squeaky little athletes do their thing.
That is
Don't give them a chance.
That is exactly my first thought. Was Mike literally said this week, "Do not let them return the ball."
I'm like, I just see Mike's dumb face in my head.
Yeah.
I love that. I love when you boys are thinking of me. I love it.
Don't let Jimmy Horn return the ball with his RFK voice.
So
Yeah.
we've got about 5 minutes left.
Yeah, we've got 5 minutes here. So I guess just kind of closing opinions here, closing arguments, whatever you want to call it.
I'll just say, you go from this very ultra joyous high of a win, and you're playing Northern Iowa next week. And just you hope for a not let down game.
I don't see that happening under the lights again. I think if this was an 11 a.m. kickoff following that game, I think it's very trap-like. But I think given that it's another night game in Memorial Stadium, you're going to have the light show again. You're going to have all the electricity still in the stadium. I mean, shoot, it's probably still bumping right now from last night.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be okay. I think we can handle UNI, and I think they with that day by day approach, the 1-0 mentality, I think Coach Rule will have them ready to roll.
Notre Dame would tell you it is certainly a trap game.
Yeah.
Or a possible trap game. I highly doubt that's the case for this Northern Iowa team, but
you never know.
you never know.
Let's turn this into a week 1 UTEP where your lines play like they are playing against UNI.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't care if they have those Iowa athletes that they recruit and they're sneaky athletic and they're gym rats and their coaches' sons. I don't care about any of that stuff.
Take care of business.
Take care of business. Dowdell, give the ball to Dowdell. Let Dylan cook a little bit.
And keep them healthy. Keep everybody healthy.
Keep everybody. And if you are running Dylan, if you are not in the pocket, find a way to slide and not get tackled by the other team.
Yep. Mike, what do you got?
I don't have anything else. I just wanted to remind the listeners that we will be doing our No Block No Rock podcast as usual tomorrow. And we will be doing this every Sunday after the game. After home games, we will be here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill in La Vista. And on the away games, we're going to be doing it at our studio. So we will still be doing it live on all the social platforms. And hopefully people enjoyed this. I enjoyed this. This is something that we've said that we've wanted to do. It's just like a reaction show while things are still hot. You don't have like a day to just like decompress.
Yeah.
Like this thing, I was in Lincoln till almost midnight. So like this is still fresh in my brain. Obviously the voice hasn't healed yet. Like this is what I wanted to do. And I think it was fun. It was a good show.
Yeah. Connor, what do you got?
It's short and sweet. They are who we thought they were.
Yeah.
They've showed us they are. So I'm excited.
Yeah. I'll just say, this is 2 weeks in a row now where I just keep saying to myself, when was the last time this happened? Or when was the last time that happened?
Yep.
And it's also the second week in a row where I'm saying it looked how it should have looked.
Yep.
So I sat in my basement last night and I watched it by myself after a snafu. I was supposed to be in the stadium covering it.
Yeah, that was
It
unfortunate.
was my fault. I didn't get the credential. It was not approved. So I went back to Omaha and I watched it by myself in my basement because my wife had plans because obviously I was working. And
so you're yelling, you're going nuts.
I giggled like a little schoolgirl for 60 football minutes.
Can you give us a
No, I can't.
Boo.
But what I'll say is I thoroughly enjoy. I mean, like every time that Shadur went down and every time that, there just seemed like something dominant happened. I was just down there just giggling.
seeing that shot of Travis Hunter yelling in frustration?
All of them. And the final thing that just made me crack up last night was watching. It was one of their offensive linemen, and he was sitting by himself by the coolers, and his head, he's all the way back, and his head is all the way down. He looked like the whole team from the first quarter to the end looked like they were in pure misery.
Agony.
Yeah.
The whole game.
I think I've watched that Tommy Hill pick six 100 times, and it's not because I'm looking at Tommy Hill. I'm looking right at Shadur Sanders, and he just arms go down and he just slumps over.
Travis Hunter
and
palms
watches.
up.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, they were in misery.
We are getting the wrap up. So our listeners out there, join us next week for your dose of Cornhusker counseling.
Absolutely. Make sure you follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel, NBNR Podcast. So,
Yeah, and swing by Herd Out Sports Bar and Grill for your NFL slate today.
yes. Hopefully your fantasy teams do well.
366 people, and we are signing off. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.